The Rip City Drive.
An insider, you can follow him on Twitter at Flex from Jersey. Felix Cruz is back on the Rip City Drive. Hey, Flex, welcome to the show, my friend.
My man, what's up, brother? Happy New Year. Good to talk to you, my friend.
Happy New Year to you. It's always a pleasure to talk hoop with you. And I guess before we get to the basketball, I know you've been tweeting about it. Just your thoughts on what you saw last night with the Bengals and Bills and DeMar Hamlin.
Oh, man, lost a lot of sleep, brother. That was scary. Very emotional. You know, I've got friends that play in the NFL. I've got previous friends that are retired NFL players. And last night was scary, man. A lot of phone calls, a lot of, hey, I love you, man. Because, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, you realize the human element of things. You realize it's just a game. And, you know, prayers out to DeMar Hamlin, man. He's got a mom, he's got a father, he's got a young brother that looks up to him. And for that type of stuff to happen on a football field in front of the whole world like that, it breaks your heart. And so I'm still on edge, brother. I'm still on edge until I hear that kid's going to come out of that hospital healthy and with his family. It breaks your heart. It really does break your heart, man. So, like I said, a lot of phone calls to dear friends and just letting them know, hey, man, I love you, man, because this is a violent sport, and they put their bodies and health on the line every time they go out there, and it's scary stuff, man.
Okay, Flex, you know, I got to get to the basketball stuff, and I'm curious. I've been covering the league a long time, and I kind of thought we were getting away from the ISO stuff, the one-on-one stuff, and then, every night it's the same old story. Somebody scores 40, and then they score 50, and now last night Mitchell goes for 71. What's up with that? You got any easy answers for me on why that individual scoring number just continues to climb this year?
I do, brother, and it's because it's not the basketball we grew up watching. It's totally inflated basketball. I mean, you know, when I watched basketball growing up, you know, in the 80s and the 90s, you know, it was a lot for an actual team to take 10 to 15 threes in a game. I mean, the 92-93 Suns that played the Bulls, you know, they shot 12 threes as a team. We're getting, Golden State shot 60 of them last night, brother. Yeah. You know, so you're getting 50, 60 shots a game from teams from the three-point line, and you get desensitized to these scoring outputs. Not that I don't respect it. You know, these guys are talented, and 70 points in any game, I don't care if it's 70 points at a rec league, it's 70 points. But, 70 points when you're getting the amount of attempts from three, and the game has become less focused on the defensive end and volume shots and pace. We kind of get desensitized to it. I used to get excited when I saw a triple-double growing up. I thought it was a big deal. Now you see these every night, and it's almost like, this is the game we play. And the NBA has become, for lack of better words, a three-point shooting contest in a lot of ways. You don't even got to look at the score or watch the game. You can just go to that box score and say, who shot the ball better from three tonight? That team won. And it's not my cup of tea, if I'm being honest. I didn't grow up watching that type of basketball, and I'm not a big fan of it. But that's the answer, man. You're getting so much threes and so much volume and so many green lights that people are only bad. They're gonna get 40, they're gonna get 50, they're gonna get 60, and like last night, 71. It's just a crazy thing.
Yeah, I agree with that, Flex. You know, it's funny, too, when the three-point shot came in, like in the old NBA, I was around then, and I thought it was good because I was a smaller guy. I was a guard when I played, and I thought, hey, it's good for the little guy. But now I watch these games. I don't think they're as entertaining as it used to be when every once in a while you went into the post man and he scored inside, and then you had a little outside to take the pressure off the guy inside. You know what I mean? Now it's just come down on a 3-on-2 fast break and pull up from 25 feet and shoot a three, right?
Yeah, I used to. I'd get pulled and won't play for a week if I did that when I was playing. You know what I mean? Like, you don't. Yeah, you get pulled for stuff. Now it's encouraged. Like, hey, yeah, take that three. So it really is exactly what you said. I'm a purist. I love the inside game. I grew up watching in an era where the big man dominated. I mean, it was Hakeem, it was Patrick, it was, all these great players, Dave Robinson. I mean, on and on, we can talk about the bigs. And now you're in an era where you're looking at it and you're saying, hey, do I pay a big 20, 35, 30 million anymore? Is it worth it? Unless that guy's going to shoot three-pointers. And the counter argument to that is, if that big is shooting three-pointers, he's not really a big. So he's not a center. He's a glorified three-point shooter who happens to be 7 feet tall. So it's one of those things that it's hard to wrap your mind around it. And for the purists and for the people that grew up watching basketball in the style that we're used to, it's just not as entertaining. You watch the playoffs, you got 6'8" centers, and that's what they're doing. They're rolling out small ball lineups. I believe we're getting close to a stage where, maybe 5-10 years from now, this is total positionless basketball. Just roll out 5, 6, 7, 6, 8 guys and play basketball. And again, it's not my cup of tea, man.
We're talking with Felix Flex Cruz here on the Rip City Drive. How do you size up the Western Conference right now? Because, Dwight and I were talking about this, Flex. It looks like the conference is more wide open than it's been in recent years, because right now it doesn't look like there's a dominant team that you look at and say, that is without question the team to beat in the West. How do you size it up?
Man, that's why I love talking to y'all, man, because this is exactly what I'm seeing. I mean, I'm looking at a Western Conference and I'm saying, okay, you got Denver at the top, you got Memphis, you got New Orleans. Those are your top 3 teams in the West. You got a 4-game separation between 1 and 9. So there is no dominant team in the Western Conference. And when I look at it, I question even the 3 teams at the top. I say, Denver, is Joker going to be able to get into the playoffs and do what he does? We know what the history says. Is Memphis going to be able to sustain and keep Ja Morant healthy for a playoff run? The same thing with the Pelicans. Are they experienced enough? Can they stay healthy? They're not. None of those 3 teams are dominant. And then you got a plethora of other teams that I really believe, guys, to answer your question, true transparency, it's a war of attrition. I believe the team that's healthiest and whole come April can come out the Western Conference. It's wide open. And for that same argument, I believe the Eastern Conference is very similar. I just don't see a dominant team in the NBA this year, and I think that's why you're going to see teams at the trade deadline is maybe teams right now that are being a little bit more patient, and they're saying, hey, the first 50 games might not mean as much as it used to mean. Let's just be healthy for the last 30, play good basketball, get in, and then it's the first to 16, and whoever can stay healthiest will probably come out of each conference, and that'll be the NBA Finals. So it's good for the fan base because everyone has a chance this year. There's a lot of teams. I mean, there's about 10 teams in each conference that can literally legitimately say, hey, I got a chance to get in there and make some noise in the playoffs. So that's good for basketball. But yeah, the West is just a bunch of basketball teams that I think are equally balanced, and the teams that are playing better now just seem to be the healthiest, for lack of better words.
Okay, Flex, you mentioned the trade deadline. Now, we got a team in Portland that might be looking for another big at the deadline. Who do you think out there, and I'm talking about a good player here, maybe even a difference maker, who out there might be available for them if they could put the right package together?
Listen, I think this is going to be one of the most intriguing trade deadlines. I think the summer is going to be more intriguing. I think the big names are going to start to come loose this summer. But as far as right now, there aren't too many real big needle movers that I've been hearing behind the scenes that I think you can just say, hey, that guy will go there and there'll be a championship. Kyle Kuzma is a guy that's constantly talked about. Yeah. I've heard some people in Philadelphia talk about some issues in Philly where they're just a lot of stuff, and a guy like Joel Embiid comes to mind, but I just can't see Philadelphia willing to do that. And again, when you say big men, there aren't too many true big men in the league. So is Minnesota going to give up on Towns or Rudy Gobert this early, knowing that I think they made a huge mistake this summer with that deal? Who knows? That could happen. But as far as needle movers and guys that I consider true superstars, I just don't see it right now. I see a lot of middle of the pack guys that can come in and maybe help out. Like I said, a Kyle Kuzma, John Collins, those are the guys that I think could get moved at the deadline. So it just depends on what your team and how the dynamic of your team is set up. If a John Collins helps you out, that's cool, but he's not a star, and neither is a guy like Kyle Kuzma. So I kind of feel like this deadline is going to be exciting. There'll be some movement, but I don't think there'll be that blockbuster that says, hey, this guy just went there, and now that team is an entirely different team.
Hey, Flex, you got to help us out with the Phoenix Suns. What is it that went down between Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton in the playoffs? And the reason why I ask is that it appears that there's still some stuff simmering, beneath the surface there.
Yeah, listen, at the end of the day, brother, the DeAndre and then Monty Williams thing in the playoffs, I think was blown a little bit out of proportion. There was just a lot of anger in that locker room about how that whole thing transpired, and I think it bubbled over. Now, I know there was an incident earlier this year where they showed another situation where Monty and DA were getting into it, but truth be told, me being close to that team and knowing the situation, that had less to do with DeAndre Ayton and more to do with Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges had some issues with some rotations and assignments, and the camera just happened to catch DeAndre arguing with Monty, but the truth of the matter is DeAndre and Monty were both kind of a little bit ticked off with Mikal Bridges. And so I think that's a little bit overblown, brother. There is, as far as I know, I was just in Manhattan the other day at the team hotel hanging with the team because they're playing and they played the Knicks a couple days ago. And I was around a basketball team that genuinely, I don't see any real animosity, but they're beat up, man. There's some serious stuff going on as far as injuries and bodies. And so they're just trying to weather the storm and get Book and Cam Johnson back, get the Jay Crowder deal done. And then hopefully in the next 2 to 4 weeks, they'll look more like the team that we're used to seeing. But I don't think there's too much of an issue there, brother, with DeAndre and Monty. I think they're just two competitive guys that every now and then the camera gets on. and it looks more than what it is.
Okay, I got to ask you about Brooklyn now. Is this thing stable enough that we can see this going on for the rest of the year, all the success they're having? Or should I be wary of all of a sudden Kyrie Irving disappearing for a week or two or something else going on there? Can they keep this thing under control for the rest of the season?
I don't think so, brother. I think that's the latter. Because you said a guy, and his name is Kyrie Irving, and that guy's a ticket time bomb. It's just hard to control Kyrie Irving. So right now, they've hit a soft spot in the schedule. Again, I'm out here, and I'm very in tune with what goes on with the Knicks and the Nets. So they've hit a soft spot in the schedule, and they've got a little bit of a break as far as health. So they're starting to play a little bit better and on a 12-game win streak. But I don't think there's anyone out here that is sitting here saying, hey, the issues are solved. There's still a lot of stuff going on in that locker room, and there's just too many variables, in particular a guy like Kyrie Irving, that, he can wake up tomorrow and decide he's going to save the world and just walk away from basketball. So it's just one of those things. So everybody's holding their breath right now. They're feeling good in Brooklyn, but I don't think there's anybody that's saying, hey, this is ready to go, because it's January. If this is happening in April and May, then that's a whole different story. But still a lot of work to get done out there in Brooklyn.
All right, you can follow him on Twitter at Flex from Jersey, NBA insider Felix Flex Cruz here on the Rip City Drive. Flex, Happy New Year, man. We love talking ball with you, and thanks for coming on, and we'll catch up in the near future.
Happy New Year's, my brothers. Always a pleasure, and anytime you need me, just let me know, guys.
You got it, man. Thank you. There you go. There's Flex.